A bottle waved in her face, accusations hurled like knives. A woman stood still, arms folded, eyes steady, her silence sharper than any weapon. What the officers didn't know was that she wasn't just another driver. She was a United States judge, and by the time this roadside stop ended, their entire department would tremble. Asterisk, the sun was sinking low over the highway, painting the asphalt in molten gold. Cars slowed, eyes wandering toward a scene unfolding at the roadside. A silver sedan sat still. Its driver, an elegant woman in a pale yellow blouse, stood tall beside it. Across from her, two officers bristled with authority. One clutched a half-empty bottle, shaking it as if proof could be forced into existence. His voice was sharp, demanding, "You've been drinking, admit it." But she did not flinch. Her arms crossed, her gaze calm, her silence more defiant than any argument. The second officer shifted uneasily, sensing something deeper but not yet knowing what. Her name was Judge Evelyn Carter. Few in that moment realized who she truly was. To the world passing by, she looked like another motorist being lectured under the glare of power. But to those who knew her story, every second of her silence carried weight. Years before, Evelyn had walked courtrooms like battlefields. She had defended the voiceless, fought corruption, and endured sleepless nights poring over cases that tested her very soul. Long before the robe, she had known loss her father struck down in a traffic stop, where dignity had been stripped away. She remembered standing in that hospital hallway, the sterile smell of antiseptic mixing with grief, vowing never to let silence become weakness again. That promise had carved her into who she was now, a woman whose quiet strength was louder than rage. The officers' accusations grew sharper. Cars slowed to watch, some drivers whispering, some recording, yet not one person stepped forward. Silence, again, wrapped around injustice like a cloak. Evelyn felt the familiar ache of public indifference, but she stood still, knowing power blooms not in noise, but in patience. "Check who I am first," she finally said. Her voice, even controlled, like a blade honed thin. It was not a plea, but a command, soft enough to unsettle, strong enough to echo. The officer sneered, ready to dismiss her words, until his partner's hand hesitated over the badge scanner clipped to his belt. He scanned her ID, and in that instant, silence flipped into revelation. His eyes widened. Judge Carter, a federal judge, the woman they had cornered with insults and assumptions, now stood revealed as the very authority that outranked their department's strongest shield. Evelyn's gaze met his. She did not gloat. She did not raise her voice. She simply stood, her posture saying what words could not. Power does not shout. It endures. The younger officer stepped back, shame flooding his face. The older one, bottle still in hand, faltered as the crowd watching from passing cars began to sense the shift. What had looked like another routine stop was unraveling into something far greater. Judge Carter lowered her arms at last, her words cutting with precision. Dignity cannot be demanded by force. It is earned through respect. The crowd grew still. Even the air seemed to pause, the weight of justice filling the space where moments ago there had only been hostility. Within weeks, the story spread beyond the highway. Complaints were filed, investigations launched, and for the first time in years, the department found itself under scrutiny. It could not silence. Evelyn had not raised her voice, yet her silence had dismantled walls stronger than iron. The officers who once stood over her now stood before committees, answering for every action, every assumption. What began as a single moment of disrespect had become a mirror reflecting an entire system. And through it all, Judge Carter remained composed, repeating the line that would echo long after the case closed. Silence is not weakness. Sometimes, it is the highest form of strength. Her story became one not of confrontation, but of transformation, proof that justice does not always roar. Sometimes, it stands quietly by the roadside, arms crossed, unbroken. Asterisk in the end, what happened on that highway was more than a traffic stop. It was a reminder that respect should never be measured by a uniform, a badge, or a title, but by the way we treat one another when no one is watching. Judge Carter's silence was not the silence of defeat. It was the silence of someone who had already fought her battles, who knew that real strength does not always shout. Sometimes it waits, unshaken, until truth reveals itself. Her story forces us to ask ourselves hard questions. How many moments of quiet dignity have gone unseen? How many times have people been misjudged, disrespected, or silenced because others refuse to look deeper? Dignity is not a gift someone can give you, and it is not something that can be taken away by force. It is something that lives inside, unbreakable, even in the face of injustice. Her words still echo. Silence is not weakness. Sometimes, it is the highest form of strength. That message matters now more than ever in a world full of noise, division, and quick judgment. So wherever you're watching this from tonight, whether it's a quiet room, a busy city street, or even on your way home, carry this story with you. Let it remind you to stand tall, even when misunderstood. Let it remind you that true justice is not about winning arguments, but about living with integrity. Now I'd love to hear your voice. Where are you watching from? What does dignity mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective matters here. And if this story moved you, subscribe for more stories that honor resilience, respect, and the power of silent heroes who change the world, not with noise, but with unshakable strength.